There's a lot of noise in the crypto world, but every once in a while, a moment comes where people stop scrolling and start paying attention. Right now, XRP is back in that conversation, not because of hype, not because of rumors, but because several long-term developments are finally lining up at the same time. This video is not here to promise prices, predict exact numbers, or tell anyone what to buy or sell. This is simply an educational look at why many analysts, investors, and institutions are watching XRP more closely than they have in years. XRP has always been different from most cryptocurrencies. From the very beginning, it wasn't designed as a meme, a trend, or a short-term experiment. It was built with a specific use case in mind: fast, low-cost cross-border payments. While much of the crypto market focused on speculation, Ripple continued building infrastructure, partnerships, and payment corridors. For a long time, that work happened quietly, often ignored by retail investors who were chasing faster gains elsewhere. One of the biggest reasons XRP stayed under pressure for years was uncertainty. Regulatory uncertainty held back adoption, limited exchange listings, and kept many large investors on the sidelines. In the United States especially, clarity matters. Institutions don't move billions of dollars based on hope. They wait for rules, structure, and legal frameworks. As the regulatory landscape has slowly evolved, that cloud of uncertainty has begun to lift, and the market has started to notice. Another key factor people are watching is utility. In crypto, narratives change fast, but utility lasts. XRP transactions settle in seconds with extremely low fees and without the massive energy consumption seen in some older blockchain systems. In a world where financial institutions are looking for efficiency, speed, and scalability, those characteristics matter more than hype cycles. Banks and payment providers don't care about online debates. They care about whether a system works, whether it integrates easily, and whether it reduces costs. Ripple's payment solutions have been tested in real-world environments across multiple countries under real regulatory conditions. That kind of testing doesn't make headlines every day, but it builds a foundation that can support long-term growth. Another important aspect is market positioning. XRP already exists within a global financial conversation. It's not trying to introduce itself from scratch. Central banks, payment processors, and financial institutions already know what it is, even if they're not all using it yet. That awareness alone separates it from thousands of other digital assets competing for attention. Liquidity also plays a role. For any asset to move significantly, there needs to be enough liquidity to support that movement. XRP consistently remains among the most traded digital assets globally. High liquidity doesn't guarantee price movement, but it allows markets to function more efficiently when interest increases. Then there's timing. Markets often move when multiple slow-building factors converge. Technology maturity, regulatory clarity, institutional readiness, and macroeconomic conditions don't align overnight. They take years. Many observers believe XRP is now entering a phase where those elements are closer together than they've been at any point in the past decade. It's also important to talk about expectations responsibly. Price surges, when they happen, are not straight lines. Markets move in cycles, with pullbacks, consolidation phases, and periods of uncertainty. Anyone expecting instant results usually ends up disappointed. Long-term investors focus less on daily price movements and more on adoption trends, infrastructure growth, and real-world usage. Another factor being discussed is global payments demand. Cross-border transactions are still slow, expensive, and inefficient in many parts of the world. Businesses operating internationally feel this pain every day. Solutions that can reduce settlement time from days to seconds have real economic value. That doesn't mean instant adoption, but it explains why this problem continues to attract serious investment. Retail interest is also slowly returning. Not the hype-driven frenzy of past cycles, but a more cautious, research-based interest. People are asking different questions now. Instead of, how fast can this go up? They're asking, what problem does this solve? And will this still matter in 5 or 10 years? Those questions reflect a more mature market. Media narratives are shifting as well. XRP is no longer discussed only in the context of controversy. Increasingly, it's being mentioned in conversations about infrastructure, regulation, and institutional finance. That change in tone doesn't happen randomly. It usually reflects broader changes happening behind the scenes. It's also worth noting that no single event causes a historic move. Markets react to accumulation of information, not headlines alone. Even major announcements often have delayed effects as participants analyze, position and reassess risk. Patience plays a bigger role than excitement. From a risk perspective, responsible discussions always acknowledge uncertainty. Crypto markets remain volatile. Regulatory environments can change. Technology evolves. Competition exists. None of these realities disappear just because optimism increases. Understanding both potential and risk is essential for anyone watching this space seriously. For viewers in the United States, regulatory clarity carries extra weight. U.S. markets influence global liquidity, exchange access, and institutional confidence. As frameworks become clearer, participation broadens. That doesn't mean guaranteed outcomes, but it changes the playing field. Another element is infrastructure readiness. Custody solutions, compliance tools, and enterprise-grade integrations are far more advanced today than they were during previous market cycles. That readiness lowers barriers for larger players to enter the market when conditions align. Community sentiment has also evolved. Many longtime XRP holders have endured years of stagnation. That experience tends to filter out short-term speculation and leave behind a more resilient base of supporters who understand the asset's original purpose. That doesn't drive price by itself, but it contributes to market stability. When people talk about biggest price surge, responsible interpretation matters. No one can predict timing, scale, or certainty. What can be discussed is probability, conditions, and historical patterns. Assets that combine utility, liquidity, awareness, and improving regulatory clarity tend to attract attention when markets rotate toward fundamentals. It's also critical to understand that watching an asset doesn't mean buying it. Observation, research, and education are valid positions. Many professionals track assets for years before making any decisions at all. Staying informed is not the same as taking action. This video exists to encourage that informed mindset, not fear of missing out, not pressure, not promise. Just awareness of why XRP is being discussed again in serious financial circles. If momentum builds, it will likely be because institutions see value, not because of social media excitement. That distinction matters. Sustainable movements are built on adoption, not emotion. As always, anyone considering involvement in digital assets should do their own research, understand their risk tolerance, and consider consulting qualified financial professionals. Markets reward preparation more often than prediction. XRP's story isn't about overnight success. It's about endurance, infrastructure, and positioning within a global financial system that is slowly modernizing. Whether or not a major move happens soon, the reasons people are watching it again are rooted in real developments, not just speculation. And that's why right now XRP is back on the radar, not as a promise, not as a guarantee, but as a project many believe is entering a new chapter worth paying attention to. What makes this moment especially interesting is how the broader financial world is changing alongside digital assets. Traditional finance is no longer ignoring blockchain technology. Instead, it's slowly integrating pieces of it where efficiency gains are clear. Settlement speed, transparency, and cost reduction are no longer nice-to-have features. They're competitive advantages. XRP was designed around those exact priorities long before they became mainstream talking points. Another aspect that often gets overlooked is interoperability. Financial systems don't exist in isolation. They need to communicate across borders, currencies, and regulatory environments. XRP's underlying architecture was built with this reality in mind. Rather than trying to replace existing systems entirely, it aims to connect them. That approach tends to appeal more to institutions than radical disruption narratives.